Germany is forced into rationing critical supplies like most of Europe is doing. They are pivoting off of their previous decisions. Now, what does this signal? And that's what we're going to talk about today, because it's one thing to see these crazy, draconian, maybe evil plans that these central planners put into place, but it's a whole different story when they pivot and are forced to come back off of their plans. Of course, they'll never admit they're wrong, but their actions speak louder than the words. So let's take a look at this and see exactly what's going on. You can see in this article that I have up here, it says Germany rations gas amid Russian cuts, and it mandates a return to coal for electricity production. Now, this is a pretty interesting story that, of course, I knew was going to come. We've been talking about this for a while. Germany, unlike the rest of Europe and even the world, has decided they were going to be the leader in this green revolution. And so they have been, as we might say, proverbially cutting off their nose to spite their face. They've decided that they're going to single-handedly cause this or drive this green transition. So they've been shutting down all their nuclear reactors, building out trillions of dollars of renewable, or as we call it, unreliable energy, wind and solar. Now, it just turns out that Germany isn't really a good country for wind and solar because they don't have a lot of sun and they don't have a lot of wind. But hey, don't let that get in their way of trying to push this unicorn utopia society when you have politicians making energy policies that they don't know anything about. This is what they get. All right, but here's what happened. They have been driving this transition to green energy, shutting down the nuclear reactors, and they have basically made themselves beholden to Russia. And so they're begging Putin for natural gas to keep their electricity going, to keep their houses warm, to continue to produce fertilizer for food. But of course, now there's a war going on, and the world has sanctioned Russia, and they don't want Russia's gas anymore. But what do you do when you're now beholden to him, and now you don't want to buy it from him anymore? Well, if you don't have any other option, you go back to the worst form of energy, which is going back to coal. Let's take a look at what this article is saying here. So we can see here, it says Germany will try to compensate for the move by increasing the burning of coal, a more polluting fossil fuel. So they don't want to take the natural gas from Europe. They don't want to buy the natural gas from Russia. And so they'll go with a more polluting fuel. What does this mean? So energy isn't created out of thin air. Energy is always transferred. So we can unlock it from one source and put it into another source. And so there's different levels. And so maybe the lowest level of energy density comes from biofuel, which is basically animal dung. And then we can move up a little bit to wood. Man, my voice. Then we can move up a little bit to wood. Now, wood has more energy density than biofuel, but it's very pollutant. And then you can move up to coal. Coal has more energy density. It takes less coal than it would take wood, and it's not as pollutant. And then you can move up to oil, and oil has more energy density, so it takes only a few barrels of oil for what truckloads of coal could do. And then you can move up to natural gas, which is the cleanest and the most dense, until we get to nuclear or uranium. About this much uranium could power a whole city. It's that energy dense. So what Germany wants to do is they shut down all their nuclear, which is about as green as you can get. They've shut all that down. They don't want to take natural gas anymore. And so they're going all the way back to where we were 100 years ago, burning dirty coal. Now we can see that this says the decision comes just days after Russian gas company Gazprom announced that it was sharply reducing supplies through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline for technical reasons. But Habeck says they believe they are politically motivated. It's obvious that Russian President Vladimir Putin's strategy is to unsettle us by driving up the price and dividing us, Habeck said. So let's see. So you decide to shut down all your natural gas and shut down all your nuclear, so you have no choice but to depend on Putin. Then you declare war on him, and then you say you're going to sanction everything he does, and then you're mad that he decides not to sell it to you anymore. I think we could have seen this coming a long way away, but this is bigger than just this story. What it really is a complete failure of the policymakers, or again, back to the central planners. We don't have a crisis of commodities. It's not that we have a lack of food or a lack of sun or a lack of energy. What we have is a lack of proper planning, because we have central planners politicians who know nothing about energy making policy decisions. And that's exactly where we're at. And now they're pivoting back. It says right here, that means, to be honest, more coal-fired power plants for a transitional period. That's bitter, but in this situation, it's almost necessary to reduce gas consumption. We must and we will do everything we can to store as much gas as possible in summer and autumn. The gas storage tanks must be full in winter. That has top priority, he said. So how do they plan to get those tanks full by winter? Well, that's where it gets even better. So let's dig into this story from Reuters right here. We can see Europe's biggest Russian gas buyers raced to find alternative fuel supplies on Monday and could burn more coal to cope with reduced gas flows. So with reduced gas flows, how are they going to get this gas to store in the summer for the autumn? Also, I'm going to answer that question. We can see here Germany, Italy, Austria, and the Netherlands have all signaled the coal-fired power plants could help see their continent through a crisis. Now, it would be worth noting, and you can do your own research on this, that the UK and the Netherlands have massive amounts of natural gas fields. And the Netherlands decided they were producing most of Europe's natural gas. They decided not to get it out of the ground anymore. Now, they do cite that it was causing earthquakes there. I don't know if there's truth to that or not, or if that's just part of this whole climate emergency. But we can see that it says the Dutch government said on Monday it would remove a cap on production at coal-fired energy plants and will activate its first phase of emergency crisis plan. So now we're in emergency. But down here here's the quote that we need to look at. That is painful, but it is a sheer necessity in this situation to reduce gas consumption. That is the key word. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. If you need to get some supplies, if you need to save, then you must produce more than you consume. Simple, right? If you need to save. So if their goal is to save natural gas during the summer and autumn so that they can have a little bit in the fall, then their goal would be to use less natural gas, or what it says right here, to reduce gas consumption. By who? By you. That means you shutting down your heaters, you shutting down your water heaters in your shower. As a matter of fact, I saw a headline that says, every time you take a shower, turn the hot water off and shake your fist and say, take that, Putin. That's a real headline. That's what they actually said. And so they want you to reduce your standard of living because we just don't know how to make hot showers anymore, apparently. Or could it be a colossal failure of the central planners? Well, let's take a look at that. So what we can see here is this is the price of coal. And from 2010 to 2020, or really about February of 2021, the price of coal had remained flat. Now, what happened? The price of coal is skyrocketing. That's pretty interesting. Coal is one of the dirtiest forms of energy that we should be trying to phase off of, but yet here we have a spiking of coal prices. Why? Well, supply and demand. All of a sudden, we need massive amounts of coal to be burned. As a matter of fact, I saw a headline today that said even Australia is now going to go back and start burning coal as well. And you can see that evidenced in the price right here. We can see here on this chart, if we look, we can see the price of natural gas has gone up. We've talked about this for about 8 or 9 months by over 1,000 times. Now, Germany has other options. Now, Germany, on their own, decided that they would self-inflict their own pain. And we can see here that 3 nuclear power plants remain active, down from 17 in 2011. So Germany had a lot of nuclear power plants. They decided to shut all those down on their own. They decided to not get their natural gas. They've put themselves into this position, and they're still planning on shutting down the remaining 3 that they have. As it says right here, 3 other plants closed at the end of 2021 and are in the early stages of shutdown. All other plants are being dismantled and can't just be switched back on. Now, I'll let you know that it's only Germany that's done this. As a matter of fact, we can see on this chart right here that France and other countries have left their nuclear plants on. And so why has Germany's power prices gone up by 10x while France's haven't? Why has Germany put themselves into this situation while France hasn't? Well, it comes down to the central planners and the policy decisions they've made, which is to shut down all forms of energy and go back to the burning coal. We can see here, this is their utopian unicorn dream, that they could phase out of nuclear power. They could also phase out of fossil fuels, and they could just replace it with this dream utopian renewable energy, which so far hasn't worked out at all. You would think that a smart decision would have been to replace the energy with the renewable energy before you shut down what worked. Doesn't appear they thought that through. What do you think about this? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know. Is it really a crisis? Are we really running out of food and energy, or are central planners just making bad decisions? They should just step out of the way. In my opinion, central planning always fails. But let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to this channel. Of course, thumbs up on this video if you liked it. And that's what I got for you today, all right? To your success. I'm out. Since you've stayed to the end, I know you like this video, which means you're probably gonna really like this video right here and this video right here.